What if I told you that every sleepless night you've spent begging heaven to change your circumstances has actually been the universe trying to teach you the most powerful secret about divine manifestation? What if your biggest financial struggle right now is not a punishment from God, but a graduation test to move you into a higher level of spiritual prosperity? What if every rejection you've faced was actually divine redirection towards something so magnificent that your current mind can't even comprehend its greatness? What if the reason your prayers seem unanswered is because God is waiting for you to stop praying from desperation and start declaring from faith? What if everything you think you know about receiving God's blessings has been completely backwards? And the moment you understand this truth, your entire reality will shift permanently. I'm not talking about positive thinking or motivational speeches. I'm talking about a biblical revelation so powerful that when you truly grasp it, you'll never approach prayer, faith, or prosperity the same way again. Your mind is not just the place where thoughts happen. Your mind is the divine workshop where God collaborates with you to sculpt your reality. And if that workshop is contaminated with patterns of defeat, even the purest miracles will transform into disappointments when they reach your experience. For generations, we have completely misunderstood how divine provision actually works. We believed that being spiritual meant kneeling until our knees bled, repeating requests until our voices gave out, and hoping that someday, if we were good enough, God would finally hear us from his distant throne. But Romans 8:28 destroys that lie completely. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. God isn't waiting for you to be perfect before blessing you. He's waiting for your consciousness to expand enough to receive what has already been prepared for you. Every blessing you've ever requested already exists in the spiritual realm, floating like radio waves in the air, waiting for you to tune into the correct frequency. It's not that God is stingy with his gifts. It's that we've been deaf to his language. We've been speaking in the dialect of lack when he only responds in the language of abundance. The revelation that will change your entire existence is this: God doesn't operate from human logic of merit and reward. He operates from immutable spiritual laws that he established in creation. Right now, as you read these words, there are millions of blessings heading toward you from every direction. Opportunities seeking your attention. People who can transform your destiny and are about to cross your path. Resources reorganizing themselves in the universe to reach your hands. But all these blessings are like light rays that only manifest when they find the right surface to reflect upon. And that surface is your conscious faith, your genuine expectation, your heart open to receive. Napoleon Hill spent over 25 years studying the most successful people of his time and discovered something the Bible had revealed millennia before. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But notice the order. First conceive, then believe, finally achieve. Conception is mental pregnancy. Belief is gestation in faith. Achievement is the natural birth of what you've nourished in your consciousness with unwavering consistency. The problem isn't that God has closed heaven, but that we have closed our hearts, not out of malice, but out of ignorance. For years, generations, we've been trained to believe we're unworthy, that prosperity is sinful, that suffering is holy, that asking for abundance is selfish. These mental programs act like spiritual viruses that block the download from divine to human. It's like having the world's fastest internet connection, but your device is full of malware, preventing pages from loading properly. Proverbs 23:7 gives us the master key that opens all manifestation doors. For as he thinks in his heart, so is he. Notice it doesn't say, as is his behavior or as is his financial situation. It says, as he thinks in his heart. The heart isn't just the organ that pumps blood, it's the electromagnetic center where the frequency that determines which reality waves you capture is generated. When your heart thinks scarcity, you tune into the station of lack. When your heart thinks abundance, you automatically connect with the channel of divine prosperity. This isn't cheap philosophy or superficial positive thinking. This is quantum physics applied to biblical spirituality. Scientists have discovered that the heart generates an electromagnetic field 5,000 times more powerful than the brain's. And that field doesn't just affect your body, but constantly interacts with the quantum field surrounding all creation. In spiritual terms, your heart is the antenna that emits signals to heaven and receives responses from God. But if that antenna is configured on fear's frequency, it can only capture experiences that validate that fear. Jesus explained it with crystal clarity in Mark 11:24. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. The key word most overlook is believe. He doesn't say hope it might happen someday. He says believe you have already received it. It's faith's present tense, it's living from the end. It's feeling gratitude in advance. It's the internal certainty that the invisible has already become visible in the spiritual realm. And now, it's just a matter of time before it materializes in the physical realm. Comment below, "My heart is fertile ground for God's miracles," and allow that declaration to begin reprogramming the frequency from which you operate. It's not just a pretty phrase, it's a direct instruction to your subconscious to change channels and start tuning into blessings instead of problems. There's an abysmal difference between believing in God and thinking like God, between having faith in divine power and activating that divine power through your transformed consciousness. Most people believe in God, but continue thinking like victims. They pray for miracles, but vibrate at frequencies of desperation, and then they're surprised when heaven seems deaf to their pleas. The revelation that will change everything is understanding that God doesn't operate from human logic of merit and reward. He operates from immutable spiritual laws he established in creation. One of those laws is the law of correspondence. As above, so below. As within, so without. Your outer world will always be the precise reflection of your inner world. Always, without exceptions. If your interior is full of chaos, your exterior will manifest chaos. If your interior is full of peace, your exterior will reflect harmony. It's not that God is unfair, it's that He's perfectly just, returning exactly what you emit from the core of your being. Now we're going to dive into deeper waters where few dare to swim, because it requires facing truths that traditional religious mind has kept hidden for centuries. There exists an abysmal difference between believing in God and thinking like God. Between having faith in divine power and activating that divine power through your transformed consciousness. Most people believe in God but continue thinking like victims. They pray for miracles but vibrate at frequencies of desperation. And then they wonder why heaven seems deaf to their pleas. Romans 12:2 gives us the most practical and revolutionary instruction. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. Be transformed. It doesn't say, wait for God to transform you from the outside. It says that you transform yourselves through the renewing of your minds. It's an act of conscious will. It's the personal responsibility of every human being to update the mental software with which they interpret reality. Let me tell you about a woman named Sandra, a 43-year-old teacher, divorced with 2 teenage children and debt that was drowning her. For years, she had prayed, asking for a financial miracle, but her internal conversation was a constant loop of, I don't have enough. Everything is so expensive. I'll never get out of this situation. One day, after a night of crying and desperation, she asked herself a question that changed everything. What if God already answered my prayer, but I can't see it because I'm looking from the problem instead of looking from the solution? Sandra began a spiritual experiment. Every morning, before getting out of bed, she closed her eyes and imagined herself living the financial life she desired. Not from the desperation of someone who needs something, but from the gratitude of someone who already has it. She visualized herself paying her debts with ease, buying without anxiety, sleeping peacefully without financial worries, and most importantly, she began to speak like someone who was already prosperous. She changed her vocabulary. Instead of, "I can't afford it," she said, "I'm choosing to invest my money differently." Instead of, "I'm broke," she said, "I'm in a process of financial transformation." The first few months, nothing visible happened, but something invisible was changing. Her energy. Sandra began to walk differently, speak differently, make decisions differently, and people around her noticed it. A principal at her school offered her extra tutoring hours at a private academy. A friend mentioned a business opportunity she had been ignoring for months. A neighbor asked her to watch her plants while traveling and paid her more than Sandra expected. In 10 months, Sandra had not only paid all her debts, but had saved enough for the down payment on a house. Sandra's miracle wasn't that God dropped money from heaven. The miracle was that her mind aligned with abundance frequency, and from that frequency she began to see opportunities that had always been there, but she was incapable of perceiving when she vibrated in scarcity. Her eyes opened. Her creativity activated, her energy elevated, and the universe, following its own laws, began to conspire in her favor. Ephesians 3:20 reminds us of the magnitude of power that resides in us. Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us, according to his power that works within us, not in distant heaven, not in some inaccessible place, in us, right now, in this instant. God's infinite power is circulating through your nervous system, beating in your heart, breathing in your lungs, thinking in your brain. The question isn't whether God has enough power. The question is whether your consciousness is sufficiently expanded to be a clean channel of that power. Napoleon Hill, after studying the most successful people of his era for more than 25 years, concluded something the Bible had revealed millennia before. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But the key is in the order. First conceive, then believe, finally achieve. Conception is mental pregnancy. Belief is gestation in faith. Achievement is the natural birth of what you've nourished in your consciousness with unwavering consistency. Before we continue, I want to make you an invitation that comes straight from the heart. If you feel these words are awakening something dormant within you, if you recognize you've been operating from limited consciousness and are ready to expand, I'd love for you to become part of this family. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, not for the numbers, but because you deserve to keep receiving content that feeds your soul and expands your spiritual perspective. And if you really want this truth to transform other people's lives, share this video with someone you know needs it. Sometimes, a message like this arrives at the exact moment when a person is considering giving up, and your act of sharing can be the instrument God uses to change a destiny. That's not an exaggeration. It's the truth of love's multiplying power in action. We now enter territory that very few dare to explore because it requires brutal honesty with oneself. We're going to talk about unconscious spiritual sabotage, those invisible chains you forged without realizing it, those self-destructive patterns you repeat over and over expecting different results. Most people are trapped in what Einstein called insanity, doing the same thing expecting different results. Spiritually, we pray the same way, think the same way, act the same way, and then we're surprised when our life remains stagnant in the same place. But here's what probably no one has explained to you with this clarity. Self-sabotage isn't your enemy. It's your poorly trained protector. It's that part of you that was wounded at some point in the past and now does everything possible to keep you safe, even if that safety means keeping you small. When you were a child and heard your parents argue about money, your subconscious recorded, "Money causes conflicts." When you tried something new and failed while others mocked, your interior concluded, "It's safer not to take risks." When you expressed your dreams and someone ridiculed them, your mind decided, "It's better to keep dreams secret." Decades later, you continue operating from those obsolete programs without questioning them. And these programs act like spiritual viruses that sabotage every attempt at prosperity. It's like trying to download a file of blessings with a connection blocked by fear firewalls. The download never completes because there's something inside you constantly interrupting it, convinced it's protecting you from some imaginary danger. 2 Corinthians 10:4-5 gives us the most effective spiritual warfare strategy. The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. Strongholds, arguments, thoughts that need to be taken captive. This isn't a battle against external demons, but against internal mental structures that have become stronger than your faith. Now I'm going to share with you the story of a man named Michael, a 35-year-old electrician who had inherited from his grandfather the belief that money corrupts good people. Throughout his entire life, every time he began to prosper, something inexplicable would happen. He would lose tools, make costly mistakes, accept jobs below his value, or simply reject lucrative opportunities for no apparent reason. One day, after losing another important contract by arriving late to a crucial appointment, he sat down and asked himself the question that changed his life. Why do I always sabotage my own success? Michael began to trace the origin of his self-sabotage patterns. He remembered the stories his grandfather told about corrupt businessmen, about people who had become evil after getting rich, about the nobility of honest poverty. Those stories had become his internal operating system. Every time he approached financial success, his protection program automatically activated to save him from becoming a bad person. It was devastating, but it was also liberating, because he finally understood why his life had been a roller coaster of ups and downs. Michael's liberation process wasn't instantaneous, but it was systematic. He began by identifying every limiting belief he had inherited and asked himself, "Is this really true, or is it just something I learned?" Then he sought contrary evidence in Scripture. He found that Abraham was extremely wealthy and was called God's friend, that Solomon had unimaginable riches and God himself had blessed them, that Job, after his trial, ended up being twice as prosperous as before, and that Jesus himself said in John 10:10, "I have come that they might have life and have it abundantly." Slowly, Michael began to replace his scarcity programs with new truths based on the Word. Every morning he declared, "I am blessed to be a blessing. My prosperity honors God and blesses many people. I deserve abundance because I am a son of the King of Kings." He didn't just say it with his mouth. He meditated on it until he felt it in his body, visualized it until it became his new identity. In 15 months, Michael had tripled his income, formed a construction company that employed 12 people, and most importantly, had broken the generational curse of poverty that had affected his family for decades. Philippians 4:8 gives us the formula for reprogramming our mind. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Think about such things, not occasionally, not when you feel like it, constantly, until it becomes your automatic nature to think from virtue instead of thinking from the problem. The first step to breaking self-sabotage is naming it without judging yourself. Ask yourself, in what areas of my life do I continue getting the same negative results over and over? That's your clue. That's where your strongest sabotage program operates. It could be in relationships, money, health, projects. Once identified, trace its origin. When did you learn that belief? From whom did you inherit it? What situation created it? And finally, consciously and deliberately, decide that belief no longer serves you and choose a new truth based on who God says you are. Remember, you can't change what you don't recognize, but once you bring the light of consciousness to those dark patterns, they automatically lose their power over you. It's like turning on a lamp in a room that had been dark for years. The monsters you thought you saw were just shadows projected by familiar furniture. And when the light turns on, you realize there was never anything to fear, just things you couldn't see clearly. Now we're going to delve into the very heart of the creative power God gave you, the spoken word. This is sacred territory where most walk without realizing they're sculpting their reality with every syllable they pronounce. In Genesis 1, we see the purest method of divine creation. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. There was no complicated process. There were no physical tools. There was no struggle or effort. Only the word charged with absolute intention. And reality immediately reorganized itself to obey that declaration. If we were made in the image and likeness of the Creator, then we also possess that creative power in our words, although on a human scale. Proverbs 18:21 is devastatingly clear. The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. It doesn't say the tongue influences your life a little. It says it has absolute power over life and death. Every word you speak is a seed you plant in the invisible soil of your future, and the harvest will be inevitable according to the nature of the seeds you've sown. The problem is, we've been trained to use words completely unconsciously, almost like automatic reflexes. I'm broke. I'll never get ahead. The same thing always happens to me. I can't take this situation anymore. Life is very complicated. Each of those declarations is a decree the universe receives as a purchase order. And the universe, being perfectly obedient to the laws established by the Creator, immediately begins organizing circumstances, people, and events that validate your declaration. It's not that the universe is cruel to you, it's that it's absolutely just. It returns exactly what you order with your words and thoughts, without making exceptions, without judging whether it's good or bad for you. It's like a perfect echo that bounces back every sound you emit. If you shout desperation, it returns desperate experiences. If you declare abundance, it returns manifestations of prosperity. It's a system as precise as gravity, and it works whether you believe in it or not. Imagine what would happen if you began to use your words with the same intentionality with which an architect designs a building. If every morning before your mind fills with the day's worries, you took 5 minutes to declare with conscious faith, "This day is full of divine opportunities that only I can see. God's wisdom guides me in every decision I make. Prosperity flows to me from directions I can't even imagine yet. I am a magnet for the Almighty's blessings." These aren't empty affirmations of superficial positive thinking. They're spiritual decrees based on the biblical truth of who you are as an heir to the kingdom. James 3:10 confronts us with an uncomfortable reality most prefer to ignore. Out of the same mouth come praise and cursing. My brothers and sisters, this should not be. How many times a day do you bless and curse with the same tongue? You declare faith when you pray in the morning, but declare doubt when you complain in the afternoon. You bless when you're in church, but curse when you face challenges at work. And then you wonder why your life is an emotional roller coaster of contradictory experiences. It's because you're sending mixed signals to the quantum field, and it returns equally mixed results to you. The solution isn't complicated in theory, but it requires iron discipline in practice. you need to become the vigilant guardian of your own mouth. Before a word leaves your lips, ask yourself, does this declaration bring me closer to or further from the life I truly want to experience? Is this complaint building my dream future or destroying it? And when you catch yourself saying something negative, correct it immediately. Don't condemn yourself, just reformulate. If you said, I'm broke, immediately say, I correct that. I'm in a process of financial transformation, and every day I discover new sources of income. Napoleon Hill discovered that all the truly prosperous people he studied used what he called conscious autosuggestion. They constantly repeated declarations of their already accomplished objective until their subconscious accepted them as established truth. And once the subconscious accepts something as true, it begins working automatically 24 hours a day to manifest it in the physical world. This isn't magic or illusion. It's the natural functioning of the human mind when consciously aligned with the spiritual laws governing creation. Let me give you a practical exercise that will transform your life if you perform it with unwavering consistency. Every night, before sleeping, write 3 things you're genuinely grateful for. No matter how difficult your day was, there's always something to feel grateful for. It can be as simple as, I'm grateful my heart beats without me having to remind it, or I'm grateful I had food on my table today. Gratitude is the most direct shortcut to abundance vibration, and when you fall asleep in a state of genuine gratitude, your subconscious works all night reorganizing your neurology to receive more of what you're grateful for. And every morning, before checking your phone, before connecting with world news, before allowing external voices to invade your interior space, take 5 minutes to declare out loud who you are and what you expect from this day. Don't do it as an empty mechanical ritual. Do it with authentic emotion, feeling each word resonate in your body. I am a child of the Most High God. I am an heir to His eternal kingdom. I am a pure channel for His miracles. This day brings me blessings I can't even imagine yet. I walk in faith, not fear. I walk in abundance, not lack. And everything I touch prospers because God's infinite grace rests upon my life. Before we continue to the end, I want to make you a special invitation that comes straight from my heart. If you've made it this far, it's because something deep within you recognizes this message arrived at the exact moment of your life. It's not coincidence. It's a divine appointment orchestrated by heaven. I'd love for you to become part of this community of souls awakening to their true spiritual power. Subscribe if you haven't already, activate notifications so you don't miss any content, and please tell me in the comments what has been the most impactful revelation you've received so far. I read every comment, and every testimony inspires me to keep creating this type of content that transforms lives. And if you know someone who urgently needs to hear this message, share it without hesitating for a second. Your share might be exactly what changes someone's eternal destiny. We now arrive at the culminating point of this revelation, the place where everything we've explored merges into an understanding that has the power to transform not only your life, but your complete identity. We're going to talk about what it means to think with the mind of Christ, operate from divine consciousness, become a conscious co-creator of your reality, instead of being a powerless victim of circumstances. This is the highest level of spiritual existence to which a human being can aspire, and it's available to you in this precise instant, not in some distant future after years of religious preparation. 1 Corinthians 2:16 makes a declaration that completely revolutionizes our understanding of human potential. But we have the mind of Christ. It doesn't say we'll have it someday if we behave well. It doesn't say some chosen ones possess it. It says we, right now, in this moment, have complete access to the same mind that conceived the universe, that transformed water into wine, that calmed storms with a word, that resurrected the dead with a command. That mind doesn't reside in some distant and inaccessible heaven. It's within you, waiting for you to activate it through conscious faith and disciplined thinking. But what does it really mean to think with the mind of Christ in practical and applicable terms? It means seeing infinite possibilities where others only see insurmountable obstacles. It means maintaining perfect peace when everything around you is absolute chaos. It means knowing in the deepest part of your being that you're completely safe and protected, even when external circumstances suggest otherwise. It's the unshakable consciousness that nothing happening in the outer world has the power to alter the truth of who you are in the interior. It's living from the glorious end, knowing everything is already consummated in the spiritual plane. When Jesus slept in the boat during the most violent storm the disciples had experienced, while waves threatened to sink them and wind roared with destructive fury, it wasn't indifference that kept him at peace. It was the absolute consciousness that his identity didn't depend on temporary circumstances. His peace didn't come from the absence of problems, but from the constant presence of the Father in his consciousness. And when he finally awakened and rebuked the wind, saying, "Peace, be still," he didn't do it from fear, but from the total authority of one who perfectly knows who he is and where his power comes from. That same spiritual authority resides in you when you learn to operate from that expanded level of consciousness. The secret lies in understanding that your true identity completely transcends your personal history. You are not your past mistakes. You are not your accumulated failures. You are not your current bank account. You are not your medical diagnosis. You are not what people think of you. Your real identity is what God declared about you before time existed. You are my beloved child in whom I am well pleased. When you anchor your sense of identity in that immutable and unchanging truth, everything else becomes temporary circumstance that has no power to define you. Ephesians 3:20 reminds us of the absolutely unlimited potential residing within us. Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us. Pay special attention to those final words. According to his power that works within us. It doesn't say the power that works in distant heaven. It says the power that operates within you in this moment. God already deposited everything necessary in your interior before you were born. The question isn't whether God has enough power to transform your situation. The question is whether your consciousness is sufficiently expanded to allow that power to flow without resistance through your daily experience. Let me share with you an analogy that will change your perspective forever. Imagine you are a mighty river. The water flowing through you isn't yours. It belongs to the infinite ocean that is God. Your responsibility isn't to create the water, but to keep the channel clean and clear so the water flows without obstacles to where it needs to go. When you fill your mind with fears, you're placing enormous rocks in the channel. When you constantly feed doubts, you're building dams that block the flow. When you cling to resentment and bitterness, you're contaminating the pure water that must pass through you. But when you clean your consciousness through genuine forgiveness, active faith, and unconditional love, you become a crystalline channel through which miracles flow naturally to all areas of your life. The transformation I'm describing doesn't happen automatically overnight, but it can begin in an instant of decision. It begins with the conscious choice that from this moment, you're going to watch your thoughts like a guardian watches the most precious treasure. You're going to question every limiting belief that arises in your mind. You're going to replace every word of doubt with a declaration of unwavering faith. You're going to practice gratitude even when you don't feel like doing it. Napoleon Hill wrote something that has been permanently engraved in my soul. Both poverty and riches are offspring of thought. Every external condition you experience in your life has its origin in an internal thought pattern you've maintained consistently. And if that's true, and it is according to all spiritual laws, then it's also true that you can change any external condition by first transforming the thought pattern that sustains and feeds it. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need academic degrees. You don't need perfect conditions. You only need the iron will to begin right now, where you are, with what you have. As we reach the closing of this transformative revelation, I want to leave you with a powerful image I hope you'll carry with you every day of your existence. Imagine that every morning, at the exact moment you wake up, God hands you a completely blank canvas and a brush loaded with infinite colors, and He says to you with loving voice, "Paint the day you truly want to live." Some days you'll create masterpieces that fill you with joy. Other days, you'll only make imperfect sketches while you learn. There will be days when you make mistakes and have to start over with patience. But what's important isn't technical perfection. It's the conscious intention to create instead of simply reacting, to bless instead of cursing, to trust instead of fearing. The power of conscious creation through the mind of Christ isn't reserved for a select few spiritual elite. It's the birthright of every human being created in God's image. Isaiah 55:11 declares with absolute authority, "So is my word that goes out from my mouth. It will not return to me empty, but will accomplish what I desire and achieve the purpose for which I sent it." God's word never returns empty, but we return empty because we've been listening with the wrong ears and speaking with unconscious tongues. Every morning presents you with the sacred opportunity to collaborate with divine intelligence in sculpting your reality. When you align your thoughts with God's thoughts, when you align your words with His promises, when you align your expectations with His abundant nature, you become a conscious co-creator of miracles. This isn't theological theory, it's practical spirituality that produces measurable results in the physical world. Consider the profound truth that Jesus revealed in Matthew 17:20. "Truly I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you." The mountain Jesus spoke of isn't necessarily a physical mountain. It's every obstacle, every limitation, every circumstance that seems immovable in your life. When your faith operates from the frequency of divine consciousness rather than human desperation, mountains of impossibility become molehills of temporary inconvenience. The difference between someone who experiences miraculous breakthrough and someone who remains stuck in patterns of limitation isn't in their external circumstances. It's in their internal frequency. It's in the vibrational level from which they approach life, challenges, and opportunities. When you think like Christ thinks, you automatically begin to see what Christ sees. Infinite possibilities in every situation, divine orchestration in every encounter, and spiritual solutions to every problem. But here's what most people miss. Thinking like Christ doesn't mean thinking positive thoughts about negative situations. It means thinking from a reality that transcends the physical appearance of things. It means operating from the understanding that what you see in the natural realm is just the shadow of what already exists in the spiritual realm. Your current financial situation is temporary. Your current health challenge is temporary. Your current relationship status is temporary. But your identity as a beloved child of the Creator is eternal and unchangeable. As Napoleon Hill discovered through his exhaustive research, the starting point of all achievement is desire. But not just any desire, burning desire backed by unwavering faith and persistent action. When you combine intense desire with the mind of Christ, you create an unstoppable force that can reshape any area of your life. The question isn't whether God wants to bless you. The question is whether you're willing to expand your consciousness enough to receive blessings that exceed your current ability to comprehend them. I want to leave you with this final powerful truth. Every single day, you are either programming your subconscious for limitation or for limitlessness. Every thought you think, Every word you speak, every emotion you feel, is sending instructions to the most powerful computer in existence, your subconscious mind. And that computer never stops working. It's constantly attracting, repelling, creating, and manifesting based on the programming you give it through your conscious choices. The time for playing small is over. The time for blaming circumstances is over. The time for waiting for perfect conditions is over. Your destiny isn't determined by your past, your current situation, or other people's opinions. Your destiny is determined by the thoughts you think, the words you speak, and the faith you exercise from this moment forward. God has already provided everything you need for life and godliness according to 2 Peter 1:3. The provision exists. The power exists. The possibilities exist. What needs to exist now is your decision to step into the fullness of who God created you to be. So I leave you with this final question that only you can answer from the deepest part of your heart. What are you going to create today with the divine mind God deposited in you? Are you going to keep repeating the same obsolete patterns that have kept you stuck for years? Or are you going to dare to think in a completely new way? The choice, as always, is in your hands. God gave you unlimited power. God gave you all the necessary tools. God gave you complete instructions in His eternal word. Now it's up to you to activate all that through faith in action, disciplined thinking, and conscious words. Your transformed life is waiting for you to make the decision. Your glorious destiny is waiting for you to fully wake up, and all of heaven is waiting for you to finally understand who you really are and the absolutely unlimited power you carry within. Forward, child of God. Forward, heir of the eternal kingdom. Your moment is now.